Welcome to the sequel to the places you rarely or never visited in Grand Theft Auto 3. We start by looking at the two main bridges in the game. The reason? Well, they're places that are typically used for one reason only: to get from somewhere or to somewhere else. Therefore, they're not places you'd usually stop at, unless you have to. Take the Shoreside Lift Bridge for example. It has this huge frame all around it, and it got me thinking, could you get on top of it? So I borrowed an ambulance from the nearby hospital and parked it precariously on the edge of the approach to the bridge. Then I hopped on it and across to this platform here. I was already feeling like I was somewhere I shouldn't be, as I could see right into this building over here. Clearly the game's developers didn't think we'd make it this far, and we haven't even made it that far yet. But the true test would be whether we could ascend up the slope. And yes, it looks like we can. I briefly stopped to admire a sign I hadn't noticed before. Stop here on red, which refers to the flashing red light behind it. No one stops here, not you of course. Not the NPCs either. This sign and light go completely ignored by everyone. And the light itself isn't even solid. We can also get another view of the adjacent building with the see-through roof. But this is where we encounter an issue. All these bits at the top aren't solid. It's just the slanting sections, like the one we just walked up, which are solid. So while we can't explore all of this structure, we can at least explore a bit further. But that's not the only section of the bridge we can explore. If we climb to this same spot via the ambulance, we can jump over to this blue walkway. You can get a nice view of Belleville Park from here. This is one of 4 of these blue walkways. There's another one over the other side of the bridge, and 2 more at the Shoreside Vale end of the bridge as well. By the way, this bit here isn't solid either. What's the purpose of these? They're not linked to by any other access routes. They're essentially closed off. Maybe they're just for maintenance workers to get access to the sections of the Shoreside Lift Bridge that ordinary people aren't allowed to see. But that's not all. We can jump over the railing and continue to explore. There's this weird blue paint on the ground here, like someone was repainting that blue walkway and just splashed them on here. Let's continue around this pillar, where we can see an aeroplane coming into Francis International Airport. We can actually get all the way around here, where the middle section is coming right down now, all the way until it stops just above Claude's head. Reminds me of an Indiana Jones booby trap or something. But here we are, underneath where we'd usually be driving across the bridge. It feels so strange to have the ceiling right there, almost claustrophobic. So let's get out and move on to our next spot. Oh, but before we do, I was curious to know whether the little blue building on top of the lift bridge could be accessed. But sadly, that's just something that's not solid either. So this got me thinking, are there any areas on the Callahan Bridge we could explore? while I don't believe we can scale it due to a lot of invisible walls, we can look around the base. I began by seeing if I could get around one of these pillars, which is located near this promenade-like section of Portland. And you can actually walk around it. Well, not quite all the way around it, as you come to an invisible wall at one point which you cannot pass. But I think we can do better than this. So here we are on the bridge itself. At the middle, you can actually see where the two sides of the bridge join. You can even see some gaps. I don't know who was paid to repair this bridge after the explosion, but I am questioning the quality of this company's work. Anyway, let's forget about that and jump off the bridge and drop down here. Again, we're exploring the base of one of the main structures that keep this shoddily mended bridge upright. You can see another one across the way there. I think the height of these concrete foundations likely make them inaccessible by boats from the ocean below. So I guess this is the only way to explore them. Of course, there's nothing down here, but it still amazes me to think that I've played this game since 2001, and 24 years later, this is the first time I have ever set foot on this piece of the city. We're at our Staunton safe house now. Have you ever been walking through the entrance and noticed that plume of steam coming off the roof above? So I got up there the only way I know how, with the Dodo. Well, I guess you could use the Rhino as well, to be fair. Unfortunately, the Dodo became a casualty of our quest, but we will not forget its contribution to the video. If we come over here, we can indeed see that we are above our Staunton safe house now, exactly where we wanted to be. And here's the reason we came up here, this steam that you can never normally get to. Walking through it like that has me feeling like Bill Goldberg. Is there anything else up here? Well, there are these, like, balconies and stairs. Would you call them balconies? Probably not. They look more like fire escapes or emergency exits, to be honest. Well, whatever they are not solid, of course. There is also that lower portion of the roof, but there's nothing to explore there, really. Here's a quick one. If you know anything about GTA 3, you'll probably know about this already, but just in case there's one person out there who has never tried this, this is for you. If you come down to Atlantic Quays here, you can actually drive straight through this garage door and into this building. The texture for the garage door is in place, but the devs just forgot to make it solid. So there you go, have fun with this one. Back on Staunton, there's this alleyway that takes you from near your safe house over to the road that takes you towards City Hall and the police station. Driving down it, I realised there was a small patch of land between the wall on the left and the building behind it. So I borrowed another ambulance and jumped over. What a curious little space. What's the point of this? It feels strange to me that the developers would bother to put the wall in between the alleyway and the building. Why not just have the building as the boundary on this side? Of course, there's nothing here, no collectibles or anything like that, as there's actually no way to get out once you're in. But it just got me thinking, I wonder if there are any more spots in Liberty City just like this. Random patches of grass you've never set foot on before. And there probably is. If we follow that alleyway, we come out near here, one of the unique stunt jumps. Sorry guys, spoilers. But have you ever done anything here aside from flying down the central reservation of this dual carriageway and flying off the jump at the end? I hadn't until I recorded this video. where I realised that if I walked up the grassy jump, I could actually walk around the top of it. It's quite narrow, so it's fairly easy to fall off. But it's just another one of those weird little spots that you've probably never set foot on before. And it's crazy to think that, given this game will be celebrating its 25th birthday next year. One more thing to mention. The bit that goes over the central reservation at the end here isn't solid. Here's another spot on the map which I was always intrigued about. There's this alley here on Portland, which is probably one of the most well-used bits of land anywhere in Liberty. It's incredibly useful. But what lies behind the wall on this side here? The wall is too high for us to look over and even jump over, even if we were to stand on a tall vehicle like the Yankee. So we'll attempt to get there from the other side. And the other side is where Luigi's lockup is located. It's where you take the stallion in Don't Spank My Bitch Up. I used the dodo again, and sadly we lost another one, guys. But its sacrifice will not be in vain. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we need to jump down a story before we can get a better look at the target zone. There's the alleyway over here, and here's what's behind it. There's this grey section, and also a grassy area next to it up there. Let's drop down another level and see if we can get in there. There's a wall at the back that we can stand on, and we can follow it all the way to the end here. But sadly, this is where our adventure of this place comes to an end, as the ground down there is not solid. One area that's accessible by normal means, which was suggested to me in the comments of my original video, is the church on Staunton Island. This side of the building played host to one of the locations for the coffee stalls in Espresso To Go. But let's go around the other side and see what's there. There's this little section here which contains a hidden package. So you'll recognise this if you've ever attempted to collect them all. This side feels like the official entrance to the building. There are rows of lights on both sides, which makes it feel very processional. Like it'd be the perfect place to throw confetti over a very recently married couple. There's also a health pickup at the doors on this side. But then there's this section of the church. This empty space with nothing here. It's a strange spot. Surely this would have been a good spot for a weapon pickup or something. Or maybe that'd be sacrilege. Not that Rockstar would usually be bothered about that kind of thing, of course. To get to the last section of the church, we have to go all the way onto the road and around here. And here we are, the graveyard, which is home to a rampage icon. But that's right near the entrance, and there's more to this area than that. I was surprised to see how many different textures Rockstar had included for the gravestones. I felt as though there were several different designs, and even some that lay flat on the ground as opposed to standing upright. This is one of the places that was utilised more in Liberty City Stories, if I remember right. I recall that game using several spots on the map which were underused in GTA 3. So credit to the developers for doing that. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any GTA LCS Rare Places content. Also on Staunton, have you ever taken a closer look at some of the shops around the island? Most, like this one, seem to have a little bit of depth to them, but are still pretty small inside. But then there are a couple, like this one, which actually have a large interior. It even has lights on the ceiling and poles stretching from the roof to the floor. And how about this one? It's around the same size with ceiling lights again, but instead of poles, there are these weird textures inside. Maybe they're meant to be shelves or racks of clothes, but they look nothing like that. They look more like army sandbags or something. Let's see if we can glitch inside. Well, we did, but we got booted out almost as fast. It looked like we were standing on solid ground for a second though, so it's worth another try. And here we go. I guess it was just that corner of the floor that wasn't solid. When you're inside, the ceiling lights look a lot brighter, and we can see these weird textures a lot closer now too. I still have no idea what they're meant to be. The window textures are a bit odd too. Apart from in certain spots, you can't actually see all the textures from the outside world through them. And oops, I found that hole in the floor again. They should really get that fixed before they open for business tomorrow. Have you ever looked up at the police station on Staunton Island? Up on the roof, you might have seen that glowing red letter H up there. Let's get a closer look to what's actually up there. Again, we look to our friend the Dodo to get up there. It's quite a tough landing zone as there's not much room to slow down once you land. So it took me a few tries to do it, but as you can see, there's actually a helipad up here. Now this is quite surprising because it feels strange for the developers to model something like this, when normally you can never see it. I do wonder if they had intentions of making this accessible, or having it play some kind of role in a mission. But of course it doesn't serve a purpose in the game, at least to my knowledge. There's a big red H on the ground, and more on the side of that little building we could see from the ground. As we saw, that little building with the H's on the side isn't solid. But the entirety of the roof itself is. I also like the detail of the metal fence that runs all the way around. It's a nice touch. Here we are at Kenji's Casino. If we go down here, we can get a nice view of the Callahan Bridge. But of course, that's not what we're here to talk about. You can also see some shipping containers and some garages down here. If you were to carry on around this section, you'd come to the location of one of the unique stunt jumps. And if you carried on even further, you'd come to Asuka's condo. And as you may know, at Asuka's condo there are 2 jetties. You can walk down a flight of stairs to access one or the other, and you can find several handy boats there. But there's actually a 3rd jetty here, and it's accessible from this place. This one is deserted though. There are no boats whatsoever. All that's here is a hidden package. So again, if you've ever collected them all, you'll have likely been here. Once. Yet it still feels strange that there's next to nothing here. Sticking on Staunton, we visit another place that was recommended to me after my original Rare Places video went live. In Torrington, you can find the Amco building. Underneath it, however, is this car park, which not many people know about. There's an entrance and an exit here for the vehicles. Well, there's also a pedestrian entrance and exit as well, which we'll see soon. There are a few vehicles down here, including a Yakuza Stinger, which is a useful spawn to bear in mind. This is another one of those locations, like the jetty, that contains a secret package, which is perhaps the only reason you might have been down here before. Or perhaps you just stumbled across it sometime. The pillars down here are giving me real Driver 1 vibes. I feel like I'm almost meant to be doing a slalom through them all. Also worth mentioning is that across from the Amco building is this one, which is the FBI headquarters in Liberty City. At the front of this building there is a walkway which leads from the road to the front doors of the FBI's headquarters. However, underneath that is this area, with a nice little pond and a little path that goes around it. A nice scenic spot for all those FBI members of staff on their lunch breaks. It looks even nicer at night, when the path is illuminated by a series of small lights. And as you can see, there's nothing here. Unlike some of our other locations, there isn't even a secret package to be found here. Anyway, that was our last location, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. Which places should we explore next? Please do let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching.